All right. Hey everyone, and welcome to another steering committee meeting for March. And we'll see if we get a few more people. But um, as usual, the agenda for these meetings is to go over any sort of community feedback, grievances, or conflicts. Um, First, give a few minutes for that, and then talk about any progress that's being made on projects that are in the works right now, both across engineering and product, as well as marketing and community, and then review any open discussions that have been coming into the discussion board. And then in general, we'll prioritize things based on um, when the topic was created. Has there been a lot of activity in terms of people participating in them? And if there's somebody from that specific team or the person that submitted the discussion on the call today. So that's the general agenda for today. Any questions from anyone on the call before we start digging into these? Awesome. Okay, so we'll get started with some general feedback from anyone. Is there any sort of community feedback as far as things going well, things not going so well, any sort of grievances or anything else that anybody wants to bring up? It's usually a pretty silent response to this one, but yeah, I don't know if there's anything positive you want to share. That's welcome as well. Yeah, Devil, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. Uh, I met this week Greg, Maxine, and other team members from Akash. It was nice meeting you all. Actually, in first time I met Greg in person. Yeah. Other than that, we are working with a couple of providers to bring their machines on board, and we provided the feature discovery right now. So it's working fine. The upgrade is working fine. So we see providers are upgrading their machines. Other than that, if there is something comes up, we are here to support them. In general, we see good things are coming to Akash. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing all that positive sentiment, Devil. Appreciate that. Greg, did you have your hand up? Or
No, that was an accident. I
okay,
wanted to clap my hands, but it was really good meeting you, Deval, and the team. We could finally connect after all these years.
awesome. All right. Any other feedback from anyone on the call? I know there's a few people that popped in the last couple of minutes. Give it like a few seconds to see if anybody else wants to talk. Okay, I'll take that as a no. The next thing on the agenda is to review some of the projects that are in progress or got completed recently. So for those that are joining us for the first time, you can head over into Akash Network into the repository here and click on projects. And what you should see is two boards here. You should see a board that tracks all the work that's happening on the product and engineering side, and then another board that tracks all the things happening on the marketing community side. So that's something that is accessible to anyone that wants to look at it. So I'm going to start with marketing community for a change because, as Deval said, we just a bunch of people were at ETH Denver, so it'll be good to sort of talk about those things first. So obviously, top of mind here is ETH Denver just got over. I don't know if somebody from ETH Denver, maybe Adam or anybody that actually really went to ETH Denver, could give us just a quick summary of any of the highlights or things that are worth talking about. Go ahead, Max.
Hey everyone. So yeah, I was there. The event was amazing. There's so many good feedback from the people that we met there. There's a bunch of workshops that we did, and well, I did one first. The first day that I arrived at the DSI house, and everyone was super attentive, like asking questions, super interested. During the booth, so many people came to the booth knowing Akash. A lot of people wanted to know more, but I was surprised by how many people were actually already aware of Akash and just excited to see us in person. I know Greg did a bunch of talks, and a lot of people, like the rooms were all packed, and the demos worked perfectly. So it was an amazing event, I think, overall.
Amazing. Yeah, I couldn't make it out there, and but based on what I saw, I just got the feeling that compared to even past ETH Denver's, this one was wildly successful. Particularly given that we're so associated with the Cosmos ecosystem, it was awesome to see us pretty much be taking center stage on multiple events. So super cool. Arthur, did I see your hand up? Was there something you wanted to add?
No, that was wrong button.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Awesome. So that's kind of the main thing I think on the completed side. Unless Adam or Cheng, you want to add any others from the completed list, go ahead, Cheng.
Yeah, not so much the completed list here, but just kind of like springboarding off of ETH Denver. I think when going into this event, we weren't sure how big or successful it would be, and this reality vastly exceeded our expectations here. And this really brings us, I think, really powerfully into the momentum, at least for Akash Accelerate, which is Akash Network's first summit ever. And so just wanted to throw that into it. It's a really, really good sign and gives us the momentum carrying into this for sure.
Super cool. Awesome. Which brings us to the next conference that we are going to have a presence at. That is NVIDIA GTC coming up in a couple of weeks here. I believe the plan here is to have a presence with another partner of ours, and then have obviously a bunch of meetings with folks that show up there. I don't think Adam is on the call. I don't know, Cheng or somebody else, if you want to add anything else to that. That's basically the kind of the summary that I know of.
Yeah, so NVIDIA GTC conference here, we are working with BrevDev. And so they have the booth primarily here, and we'll be kind of riding their coattails on that because they got access to the booth and everything like that through NVIDIA, and they have pretty good sweet terms there. So we'll be kind of like a secondary marquee at their booth. It'll, BrevDev primarily. We'll be hosting a couple of small things. One is going to be more exclusive, very tiny 20-person-ish VIP dinner before that happens. So we're currently reaching out to partners who will be there, and prospective folks that we want to connect with, right? Specifically, let's say in NVIDIA, that would be really nice. Some of the Brev team will be there as well. But yeah, as far as attendance goes, I think Neil and myself will be there in addition to Zach on the core team. And that's what we have. Oh yeah, the come and take it is coming. I have a gigantic box of merch that is shipping to my house because I'm a few hour drive away, so I'll be driving down there and muling our stuff over.
Awesome. Yeah, very looking forward to this. I wish I could have made it to Denver, but I'm really looking forward to NVIDIA GTC in a couple of weeks. And as Cheng said, Brev is this platform that is basically for all intents and purposes, a Web 2 platform. So being besides a Web 2 platform at a conference that is not a crypto conference is like a huge thing. So I think hopefully it'll also be a very successful endeavor for us. Awesome.
You should tweet about it. We'll add a few $100 million to the market cap.
Exactly.
You see what Anchor did? Anchor guys yesterday tweeted saying that we're going to GTC conference, and they're talking pump 40%. Just going to GTC. It's nuts.
Let's do it.
Awesome. At the same time that NVIDIA GTC is happening, there's also KubeCon EU happening in the same week. And so we have, at least on the core team, we've kind of split resources between these two. So from our side, I believe Arthur is going. I don't know if anybody else is on the core team side. And I know there's some folks from the community that are going as well. Go ahead, Arthur.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. So it's going to be our first presence on KubeCon. It's going to be kind of small, but I think it should be really cool to be there. First of all, to see, once again, all of our insiders, and second of all, speak to people that actually develop interesting for us Kubernetes features like kubeviews and so on and so forth. And I believe we're going to have booth there, so it should be fun. And considering huge success of East Denver, I'm super excited to just be there and help Adam and other team members to promote Akash on that side. So yeah, it's going to be, I believe, from Akash, Adam, Wozny, and me, and then a couple of insiders as well.
Amazing. And I think it'll be cool to also figure out if we can find folks, non-crypto folks that want to build on top of our open source code base. That'll be an amazing win out of this, I think. Sweet. Let's see what else we want to talk about here. So your hand up. Did I see a hand up?
That was my mistake.
Oh, no, all good. Sweet. Okay, so I think out of the remaining things, the one that might be most relevant to talk about maybe is the GPU pricing page that we're working on. So one of the things that we realized is, we just to backtrack a little bit, if you've been following what we've been announcing, we brought up a bunch of GPU supply in relation to the committed pool from the GPU incentives. We did this earlier this week. And so one of the things we're trying to do is improve the website so that it's very clear to people that these GPUs are available and at a certain price point, similar to the marketing message that was sent out through the Akash network handle earlier this week about H100s as well as A6000s becoming available. So this task is basically to add that GPU page. And so if you're curious about this, you can take a look at this task as well. So it's pretty active in development right now. Once the website thing is done, or actually more or less in parallel, we're also going to be looking at a modification to the CloudMo/Akash console UI, so that when people use the rent a GPU workflow, they get bids that are very tailored to GPU pricing and shows a maximum pricing, a minimum pricing, and average, that sort of thing. So that we're very focused on answering the question that people have when they come looking for GPUs, which is how many do you have, how many of them are utilized right now, how many can I get, what models are there, and what's the lowest price I can get potentially from you. And so that's kind of the goal here, as well as for the work that's going to be done within the console UI itself. Any questions on that one before I move on? Awesome. All right, so that's 6. That's great. Woohoo. So other than that, I don't know, anyone from the marketing team want to suggest anything else you want to talk about? I think that pretty much covers these things in terms of things we want to talk about. Maybe Akash Accelerate, if anybody wants to talk about a little bit more about what the plans there are and what's expected.
For sure. Yeah, Akash Accelerate, and Greg, I know this is your brainchild and near and dear to you, so please chime in. It's going to be a single day in May. I believe the Monday prior to the consensus conference, right, leading up into consensus, I think, which starts on a Wednesday. It'll be a single day. And the theme around it, I mean, it's up on GitHub for discussion, and I think I tweeted out yesterday as well. But around permission, really open systems, right? With Akash being a cornerstone of that open system, and I think the best representation of that. But that's kind of the thing around it. It's going to be in Austin, Texas, a single day, starting 9, 10-ish in the morning, ending like 3, 4-ish in the afternoon, with breaks and with a break in between, of course, various speakers that we're trying to get a hold of. If the community thinks there are speakers who will be a good fit there and you want to nominate them or just kind of let us know, please do. And that's kind of it for now. One last PSA is with conferences really being the success again of ETH, we're really demonstrating it with future community proposals that we will be submitting really in a week or two. For Q2 and Q3, Q4 conferences for the rest of the year where Akash will be attending. We're going to really increase the budget we're going to be proposing, right, in an effort to really establish Akash as a cornerstone presence in relevant conferences. Obviously, we're not going to just spray and pray. But with the conferences we will be attending and making sure that we have a very strong marquee to establish the brand.
Yeah, so it was very obvious. I mean, January we had very small presence, but incredible reception, right? So I think improving our presence will be incredibly valuable, considering we have a bull market coming. Really, I think more people need to know about Akash. So I want to see more effort from the community on what different things we can do at the event, right? So ideally dinners every day, every night for people, events, our own happy hours, to workshops, and a lot of ideas that we could do, right? So I think it'd be great to have some working group on this to make some recommendations as to what we need to do better at events.
Awesome. Yep. We'll spin up a working group. Start brainstorming ideas on that. Go ahead, Devil.
It will be in Austin, right? Like we can plan ahead.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. In concert with consensus, right, Cheng? Yep.
Yeah, consensus starts on a Wednesday that week. In May, I forget exactly which day. We're planning to do it on a Monday, assuming that people will be coming in, early and stuff like that. So we don't want to overlap with consensus and get kind of drowned out, right? Since this is our first one, but yeah, it'll be in the same week as consensus. Consensus starts on Wednesday. Will be on Monday.
Cool. Yeah, and while Cheng and Greg were talking, I just realized a couple of things that I missed previously because they were down the list. But I just want to call out the one of the items here is establishing sources and contracts for the committed pool providers. So this has been a task that Cheng, Greg, myself, and a few folks from the community have spent a lot of time in the last few weeks on. And we've talked to, I think, probably close to a dozen different sources for these GPUs. And, it's been like noted very well in the original discussion. It's been kind of hard to get access to the right H100s, A180s, A180s in particular, and A6000s. But as you've seen from the announcement, we have two really good sources, both of which we have used in the past. So one of them has been a provider on the network for several months that is now supplying us the RTX 4090s as well as the H100 HGX cluster. And then another provider that was used for the Thumper AI machine learning training exercise or AI training exercise, that's supplying us the H100 PCIe nodes as well as the A6000 nodes. So that's what's up on the network right now. You should have seen a boost in the number of GPUs by close to 150. And then we're on track to get an additional 64 A180 GPUs PCI nodes from that same second provider as well. So that's all squared away for the most part. We'll just be monitoring the providers. We've set up monitoring for them so we can track uptime and stuff. Huge thanks to Andre on our side for a lot of work on that as well as Shimpa. Shimpa's been huge in terms of helping out on that from the community. And so now that we have a decent amount of supply on the committed pool, we are going to shift our focus in the next few days to the liquidity mining portion of this. So Cheng, myself, folks from the community, anybody that wants to participate in this, we're going to work on a mechanism for how the liquidity mining pool portion of this is going to be run in terms of people getting GPUs. So the key difference, just for people that are not aware, is the first pool, which is the committed pool, is higher end GPUs. And the idea there is it's a commitment for a year. And the reason for the commitment for a year is because, number one, these are hard to get. So, you want to retain them for a year. And second, when you do get a 1 year commitment, you get a significantly better pricing. And so that's kind of the reasoning for why we put those in the committed pool. The liquidity mining pool is going to be lower end GPUs. A lot of these are going to be potentially attractive to miners that have had RTX 4090s, 3060s, 1080s, whatever those might be. And it's going to be more on demand, no commitment. So we're going to iron out the process for this. There's a lot of work involved in terms of defining the process as well as building tools that can track the uptime of the providers and as well as count the fact that the resources that were committed on day one remain on each day throughout the entire time of the incentives. So all that work needs to happen before we can open this up, and that's the reason for why this is taking a little bit longer. But that's a huge focus now going forward. I think that's pretty much all the things on the marketing and community side, unless anybody wants to bring up anything else. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you, Anil. I quickly want to add about the CD campaign, the developer onboarding campaign. It's been live for a little over 1 week now. No, it's gonna be 1 week tomorrow. And so far we got 41 submissions. Some of them are good, some of them are spam. But yeah, that's how it is. This is gonna be a 3-month campaign. I wanna actually take this moment to thank Greg for giving us a little bit more funding. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Tyler, as well, for making this like a reality. On my side, I'm doing social media outreach. So I'm in talks with key people in the Cosmos ecosystem and beyond to see if we can get this further and more people can know about it. Today, I'm going to a crypto meetup and I'm going to talk to people about this. And and yeah, so far everything is looking good. We have got lots of feedbacks. I've seen lots of questions in the Telegram. I've seen questions in the Discord. There was a question that came up on Sealy, and then the guy went to the deployments chat and he got assistance there. So super appreciative of that. And yeah, if you guys have any feedbacks or things that could be interesting to make them like a game, talk with me and I can convert them into a mission. Right now we have missions about creating web apps, deploying it on Akash. We have some content creation missions as well. We got missions for providers and more missions are in the work. So just wanted to give a quick update on that, guys, on the steering committee call. Yep.
Thank you, Robert. That is truly amazing work. And I just want to say that personally, I've seen other projects put out Zeely missions. I don't think I've participated in any of them, but I've seen a lot of them put them out and they've been very successful. So super awesome that you're taking on the initiative to do this for Akash. Just a quick question. Do you know if there's a card on this board somewhere for the Zeely work that's happening? If not, it'll be nice to get one of those cards here so people are aware.
I don't remember where I saw it, but I'm pretty sure I believe I saw one with a city name on it. I just know. I don't know what it is. We do have a discussion for the proposal. I can send you the link for that.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we'll create a card for that. Awesome.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else on the marketing community side, I'm going to move on to the product and engineering side of things. So a bunch of things happened on the product and engineering side as well. So just moving on to the released column here. And I think all the way down a little bit above AMD maybe. So first off, the CloudHost team delivered essentially the first big chunk of what we're calling the quote unquote rebrand of CloudHost to Akash console. And one of the things there was to split off the what used to be called Akash Lytics inside the UI to its own page called stats.akash.network. And so this work is complete. I'm sure a bunch of you have seen this page already, but I just wanted to call out that. Anything else you want to add on this, Max from CloudHost team?
No, that's pretty much it. It's live. It's gonna be upgraded probably in the future with more features, more stats.
Amazing. Yep, it's really cool. We're going to look at some potential small design changes to this over time and then get feedback from the community as well. So if you have any suggestions for the stats page, do post them on Discord or hit up anybody in the core team, Max, myself, and we'd love to get the feedback. So that's number one. The CloudHost team also worked on refactoring and improving the CloudHost API so that other folks that want to pull this information can utilize it. The primary two customers, if you can call them customers for this right now, are the Praetor team and the website, the folks working on the website. So great work here as well. I don't know, the Praetor team, if you have any feedback that you want to bring in here, or everything's good on your side.
Yeah, everything looks good on our side. Thank you, Max, for all the APIs provided. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And then the next big thing over here, or not a big thing, but a relatively small thing, but something that hopefully will make people aware that we support payments, is when you go into the UI before, the way to change from UAKT to USDC was kind of 2 levels deep in the UI when you went to deploy something. And so this addresses that thing and sort of made it up top. Relatively small change, but hopefully now it makes it pretty clear to people that we support USDC payments. And then the big thing that Arthur and Scott from the core team have been working on for several weeks now is supporting a feature called Feature Discovery Service, which is basically a service that allows that basically discovers all the resources on a given provider and exposes them to an API. Arthur, Scott, feel free to jump in or here, talk about all the work that you've done here.
Yeah, thanks, Anil. So this is so far probably one of the biggest refactorings for the last year related to the provider itself. Idea behind this entire thing is to remove human factor from, first of all, from labeling manually nodes and provider attributes. The second of all is to make discovery of the provider hardware snapshots much automated. And the implementation was a little bit fuzzy for us. We had quite a few hiccups. However, then obviously testing and everything else helped us to bring this to pretty much stable level and release it last week. So at this stage, what it does is sweeps entire provider with lots of things related to the CPU, GPU, what type of GPUs, and so on and so forth, and then passes it through to the cloud modes, which allows to display, for example, how many A100s located on the network on a particular provider, how many of them being used, and so on and so forth. This feature is sort of, the design of the feature is complete, implementation is not complete. We are planning to add quite a lot of things to it in the next few months. Expand information about memory, CPU, to bring detailed CPU information, like what kind of features it supports, and so on and so forth. Then hopefully we're gonna after that we're gonna be able to enable automated labeling of the provider attributes, which removes provider manual interaction completely from that perspective. I think that is it.
Thanks, Arthur, for that detailed update. And just to reiterate what Arthur said, the primary outcome of this mammoth exercise is basically this enables 2 things. One is today when you go to deploy something in CloudMOS console or literally anything that uses that deploys on Akash, you can see providers and you can see model names of GPUs, but when you actually create a lease or when you want to just go and look at how many GPUs are on the network, there's no way to do that. So there's no way for somebody to just go onto CloudMOS today and find out how many A180s on the network, how many of them are being utilized. And so this will lead into a much better user experience from that standpoint, and then also help us build that pricing page that we talked about. So amazing work. The big thing that is going to be coming up, a relatively small change, but a big impact, something that multiple people have surfaced up, including the Praetor team, as well as the Spheron team, is as the price of AKT has appreciated, as well as the number of leases that are created on the network have grown, there's a huge tax on the provider side, as well as on the, not so much on the tenant side, but more on the provider side, where every time a provider wants to create a bunch of bids, they've got to submit a 5 AKT deposit times the number of bids that they want to create, and that's a huge burden in terms of the amount of deposits they got to make. And so the primary change for reducing the minimum requirement for what that bid should be and changing it from 5 AKT to 0.5 AKT, which is effectively a 90% discount or 90% reduction, that is on chain right now, the governance proposal. And so once that passes, this change is going to go into effect. Go ahead, Arthur, and then they will after that.
Yeah, just a little correction to that. So it's not effectively a tax. It's effectively deposit on both sides. And for provider, this deposit is returned back to the provider as soon as a bid is being closed. So for example, provider loses lease, or when provider wins lease and lease has been closed, those funds returned to the provider in the full amount. For the tenant, any unused amount from escrow account is going to be returned back to the account. So it's not effectively a tax. It's just the deposit that is needed for deployment to be up and running. And in terms of provider deposit, we are still debating if it's actually necessary to have it. We will say we might actually remove it in future, but we decided to just lower it for now to ease process for everyone.
Yep, fair enough. I used the word tax loosely, but yeah, it's basically the deposit that we will put in order to bid on workloads and then get it back when the bid closes. Go ahead, Deval.
Yeah, thank you for doing this for us. Actually, the bid deployment amount change that mostly affects the deployer, I would say, right? But as well as it gives the more liquidity to providers to support more and more deployments with the lower amount of equity, right? As well as I think there is another art in this one somewhere. It changes the transaction cost of updating provider. That's a big help for us because like people are calling us scammers in the Discord. So when we charge when the transaction charge 3 equity for to update a provider. So thank you.
So that's the different discussion, I believe. Thing that you just mentioned, which is called provider update, gas calculation. So that's another topic. We have network upgrade for it coming up next Wednesday. Because this update is quite quick and urgent, we are actually working on it right now. We haven't posted any information in the issues just yet. As soon as we wrap everything up, releases are out, we are going to put information into the issues as well as in the Discord explaining what was going on. It wasn't actually a bug, it was by design. And there was a little thing that we missed a couple years ago. Not actually missed, that was intentionally, but because the amount of leases grown up, it started to cause pain a little bit. Anyways, we have removed this part for now. Once again, you're going to provide all details on what's going on and why this issue was causing gas to go like 220 million units on some transactions. It's going to be fixed next Wednesday, and everybody should be happy with that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. And then following that, there is work that has started for this feature, which is basically, it's more like removing the limitation that we have had, but you can even call it a feature, but essentially being able to specify the size of shared memory that you would want when doing a deployment. This has come up over the course of us speaking with teams that want to do AI workload training as well as inference. And it's something that they expect to see typically when they're doing this thing. So this is going to be a pretty significant unlock for us being able to support such workloads as well. So Arthur and Adam are actively working on this feature right now. And other than that, I don't think there's much more to report unless Arthur, you want to add something. Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. So this feature has been as a feature, the implementation phase has been done. We're just in the testing phase, and because we have a backlog of things to be released at this moment, we are waiting until we make planned releases, and then we're gonna merge it. This thing doesn't require any network upgrades whatsoever. It's just gonna be rolling update. Hopefully, maybe next week, or we're gonna be able to push it to the public.
Thank you, Arthur. Awesome. I think that's pretty much all the ones I wanted to go over, at least for now. We don't have to dig into the things that are in the bucket next. We can talk about it in the next meeting. I do want to get to some of the discussions as well. So unless anyone wants to bring up anything specific on the engineering and product side, I'm going to move on to talking about discussions. Okay. So the last thing on our agenda is to typically review any GitHub discussions that have been posted since the last steering committee, and then prioritize ones that have had a fair amount of activity or interactions, as well as ones that are represented by folks on the call today. So jumping over to the discussions here, we talked about Akash Accelerate already, so I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time on that one. I don't think there's anybody that objects to this. I've read through the comments. There's literally overwhelming support for all of this, so I don't think we need to beat the source anymore. But I don't know. Any last words anybody wants to talk about in terms of Accelerate? Okay, sounds good. We'll continue to make progress on this and post updates to the community as we refine this going forward. I looked through most of these issues today morning. There were a bunch that were not really proposals, but just questions about things. So like this one, just talking about somebody who wants to migrate from AWS and is wondering if a lift and shift is better or starting fresh. And so my recommendation was, first is if you're already running container native and using an orchestrator like EKS, then you can probably port that over relatively easily to Akash. But if not, then fresh might be better. But I think rightly as Robert and Rodri have said here, the best thing to do is to send these folks over to Discord for these kinds of questions. Support canceling on staking. I've definitely seen this, and I feel like it's a cool thing to add, but I don't think it's like particularly necessary from a growing demand or growing usage on the network perspective. But my suggestion was it would potentially be a good task for somebody in the community, but I'm curious if people have thoughts about this.
So let me wait. Cancellation of on staking. I don't think we support that.
We don't, and that's what they asked.
Let me.
Yeah.
Let's. So we have a SIG chain, I believe, next week, and I'll try to cover that thing. I'm not sure we can do that just yet with the current Cosmos SDK that we are on. So there is no even cancel transaction, and I'm not sure it actually makes sense to discuss it just yet. I need to double check it, but I believe we cannot support it at this moment.
Yeah, and also I don't think, unless anyone disagrees, I don't think it's like a huge priority. It's not something that necessarily hinders adoption of Akash network from a tenant and deployment perspective. Okay, mostly a question there. There is a proposal from Q1HQ for building the solution for deploying LLMs from Hugging Face onto Akash. I don't know if somebody from the Human HQ team is on here to talk about this. I don't see anybody that looks like they might be from the Human HQ team, but I read through this proposal. It's really well written, so I like that part of it. But I think in my mind, at least, so first off, I think being able to build a solution that allows easy deployment of models that are hosted in Hugging Face is awesome. But my main concerns on this were, number one, it talks about building a new UI and a new platform. My first concern was, why not just build on top of CloudMOS, which is open source now. And then the second thing was, while this solution can be built, the harder problem always is how do you get people to use that solution when there are a whole bunch of similar solutions out there that connect with Hugging Face. The main challenge that we have felt, and so we meaning the core team have discussed potentially building what we were calling Akash ML at some point. And one of the big challenges with anything like that, before we go and invest a bunch of time and money into it, is Hugging Face themselves. We've talked with folks there, including the founder of Hugging Face, and asked if they would integrate and let us have like a button to deploy on Akash. And it's a chicken and egg problem where they want to see a lot of workloads running on Akash before they will consider doing that. And we want to get that button in order to get a bunch of workloads running on it. So it's a chicken and egg problem there. So if you can get that going, then it's a huge driver for demand from that channel. In the absence of that, the better strategy here, which is something that we're pursuing with companies like BrevDev, for example, like we talked about in the GTC conference coming up, plus a couple of other ones that we're speaking with right now, is to integrate with them and have them use us as their primary infrastructure provider. And so when they already have traction in the market and have built a UI and a user experience that is extremely easy to run open source models on, it automatically drives demand for us, and which is what we wanted to be doing. So that's kind of my two main pieces of feedback on this. But go ahead, Deval.
I think that can be solved with minor changes in just templates of the LLM models. What we host right now with Awesome Akash or that kind of thing. I believe we just need a Hugging Face API key or something from whoever wants to deploy the models, right? And we can add that into templates. So yeah, I tried to deploy that. It was pretty easy to deploy. So
Yep, exactly. And that is kind of my first comment here as well. And we actually already have a couple of templates for a few LLMs that work. So yeah, if anybody else has any feedback on this, it hasn't gotten many responses. I did want to talk about it because they spent a lot of time writing up this proposal. So that was the main intention here. Anyway, I want to move on from that. There was a proposal or a request, not really proposal, is not asking for any funds or anything, but a suggestion for doing Cartesi smart contracts. I personally have no idea what this is, but Greg, go ahead.
Yeah. So we don't have use case for smart contracts on Akash, and expanding the attack surface in the code base is not advisable without a use case. So I would say I would recommend against incorporating anything that's not core to our use case. Arthur?
Yeah, I just 100% support that opinion. So, there cannot be just single use case for the smart contracts. First of all, the second of all, most likely the use case can be done without even smart contracts. So we are in the background trying to find what kind of things we could probably incorporate further, but at this moment, we're just completely opposite of bringing that into the network. Another point is smart contract usage at this stage is quite complicated. So it's going to be, frankly saying, waste of the resource at this point.
I'm just going to drop a couple of quick things here, and so that we're aware of what. Go ahead, Cheng.
Did have a quick question regarding the smart contract. I suppose some of this, I haven't read this, but what you're trying to solve here could be accomplished like at the application layer, right? It doesn't have to go into the chain, into the core code base. So whatever logic you need to program, I feel like could be done further upstream?
Yes. So the folks at Agoric actually have spoken with us a few times about doing exactly that. So that could potentially be an alternative to this. But Arthur?
Yeah, there are many discussions again about the usage of smart contracts. For example, with the Agoric, it was thought that they could create deployments on Akash using from Agoric, and they needed then, but that could be just achieved with the ICA without any smart contracts.
Yeah. So,
yes,
like,
at that point, yeah, go ahead.
finish your thought. Sorry.
Yeah, what I'm just trying to summarize here that in probably 9% out of 10, 9 cases out of 10, the use case can be solved quite simply without smart contracts. And pretty much every time we hear discussion about them, it's just people just want to have them because it's cool without any proof of need for this particular use case.
Yeah. So, ideal world with IBC, Agoric should be able to make a call on Akash, right? Like, if we need to make things happen for that enablement, maybe it's worth considering like an ICA or whatnot, because there are multiple use cases people have been asking for ICA. But incorporating smart contract module inside Akash is not use case less. I don't think we need to do that much amount of lift and take that much amount of risk, because every time you add code, it's more unstable, right? So if I don't know what Cortese is it a separate chain? Is it a module? If they want to call stuff on Akash, great. I mean, why not? But if we need to incorporate a module, that's a no-go. That would be my response to this.
Yep, makes sense, 100%. And also, the person who wrote this notes that nobody in Cartesi seems to care, nobody in Akash seems to care. I think this person is a middleman in the middle. So, go ahead,
Just
Arthur.
your average bag holder.
Go ahead, Arthur.
Yeah, I did all the ICA. So as far as I recall, last time we discussed with them, I know it's probably topic of separate conversation, just like follow up as we touch this thing. They wanted to have deployment on a cars through Agoric using IBC and interchain accounts. It was apparently the biggest blocker was they still need to talk to the blockchain and to the provider directly. For example, check the status of the deployment, status of the release, and so on and so forth. So it wasn't issue only to route the transactions, but how to route events. And this moment, it's quite unstable. So agreement back then was like, oh yeah, it actually doesn't make sense. It's easier for us to just use API directly without send funds through IBC to Akash and then deploy in Akash instead of deploying through the IBC.
Makes sense. Awesome. I'm going to move on from this, given no one seems to want to champion this, at least on the call. So for now, I'll put some comments in the discussion, but feel free, anybody else that wants to jump in and post some comments. Huey has a comment. Okay, got it. You're saying it can happen without smart contracts as well. So sounds good. Next one's 5AKT lock. We talked about that. Cross-chain swaps from 60 chains. Rango. I think this one people already commented that this is something that can be done. Robert, I think you made a video about how this can be done as well. So I don't think there's any reason for us to get into this. But go ahead, Arthur.
I need to get deeper into that. We might need to wait until we get packet forwarding. I know it's been on discussions a lot, and we've been pushing packet forwarding for quite a while right now. But I think having that will simplify. First of all, it's going to bring native USDC, for example, USDT. Can you please scroll down to the? Yeah. So if you saw the picture, there's like USDC, Axelar USDC. Because like too many hopes for the swap, when we bring packet forwarding, it should ease it out quite dramatically. So let's probably hold on that. I'm gonna sweep this issue to make sure that we are on the same page and we're trying to solve the same issue. And I believe actually Leap Wallet done something like that already. I'm not sure, but I have to check it. So it would be just good to have quite a few good working examples instead of having like many barely working. So let's maybe hold on that.
Sounds good. Yeah. If you want to post a comment on this, Arthur, you can go ahead and do that later. And I don't think the
Yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna say I don't think the person that even wrote it is on the call. So on from that one, let's see. Provider incentives. Okay, this takes us back to the last thing we talked about on the last steering committee. So I think that's all the discussions for now. Anybody want to bring up anything else that we haven't talked about on the discussions? Go ahead, Arthur.
Yeah, I just want to bring a little bit of update related to the network upgrades. I know we're going to have discussion on the SIG chain next week, but as a summary, we are slightly behind the schedule for now. There are 3 network upgrades on the table. Number 1 is going to be executed next week to fix DOS issues with the provider update. And then we're going to have expedited proposals and following up with the list status. We are heavily working on preparing to update for the Cosmos SDK port 47, because as you know, the 45 has been deprecated over a year ago and it's not been supported. And it has actually quite a few issues in terms of usability. So we are targeting to get it sometime middle this year, but hopefully sooner actually. I'm gonna bring a couple milestones related to the network upgrades itself, where everyone could just see the progress on them and estimates on when they're gonna be executed.
Awesome. Thank you, Arthur. Okay, so that kind of brings us to the end of the session today. Open it up to anyone that wants to bring up any questions or general things. We've got about 5 minutes more on the call, so we'll take a minute to see if anybody wants to talk about anything in general. Go ahead, Cheng.
Just a quick announcement here for the next Akash Hackathon that we will be hosting. I think Adam has already, Adam was, he's not on the call, I believe, but he's already, I think, gone into several of the SIGs across Discord to garner ideas for the particular tracks and use cases that we want to encourage people to build on. The first hackathon that we held last year was via Dora hacks. Timing wasn't, the most ideal thing. It was literally like butting up butting up against the GPU marketplace launch in August, right? And so this time around, we've learned a lot from that particular hackathon, what went well and what didn't. And so this iteration should be a lot better, and highly encourage folks who are technical, especially, to go and chime in, give your thoughts and opinions, and those who aren't, even to participate and just kind of see what's up. Ideas are always welcome.
Awesome. And I believe we also have like a working group, if I remember, for Hackathon. So there's that avenue as well. Great. Thank you, Cheng. Any other final thoughts or questions, concerns from anyone before we end for today? Okay, I'll take that as a no. And I think with that, we can kind of conclude this month's steering committee meeting. Thanks again, everyone, for coming to these. It's awesome to see these probably get the most amount of attendance. So it's really nice to see everyone here. And hopefully we're doing a good job in terms of running these, as well as keeping everyone updated. Awesome. With that, I'll stop presenting, and I guess we can end the call for today. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Have a good one, everyone.
See you.
Take care, all.